Hello everyone, it is me, Louis, aka Duncan Gaming, and today I will be ranking every single episode from Season 7. If you have not seen the first 6 season ranking videos, I recommend you watch them as well. And this will probably be the last one I'll do. I might do Jack in the Pack, but that's a might, it's not certain, but for now I'm only going to do Seasons 1 to 7, so... Oh no. I think I left the door open again. TP, get out of my room.
Louis, you better not torture my boy. And you better not put episodes I like in the dead bottom.
Well, it's my opinion, TP. Let me do my list and then I'll show you.
Okay then, I'll be waiting.
Okay, now let's actually get onto the list. What's the Matter with Henry? This is my least favourite episode of the classic series. I hate it. Thomas and Percy are such dicks, and Henry was not handled well here. Thomas and Percy's punishment wasn't even severe enough for making Henry pull all those trucks when he was unwell. I said this before, but I think a good rewrite for this episode would be, first Thomas and Percy tease Henry, but then they see he's actually unwell and try to pull all the trucks for him, but then those two break down or can't pull it, and then Henry comes to save the day at the end. That would have been a much better episode. Or maybe you could have had the troublesome trucks involved somehow, but this episode is really bad. 2 out of 10. Worst of the classic series in my opinion. Salty's Stormy Tale. The storm scenes are nice, but again, Thomas and Percy being dicks, I don't think Salty would get this easily upset over something like this. The moral is really forced and clunky at the end of the episode, and this is a problem with the large majority of episodes from Season 7, but I'm just going to mention it once here. The sound effects is really quiet in a lot of these episodes, like, too quiet. Like, think back to like Seasons 4, 5, 6, just any classic season, the sound effects, like when there was a crash or just even normal scenes, were always, always heard like busy yards, and the crashes were always loud, but with Season 7, you barely hear shit other than the narration and the music, like seriously. This episode is not that good, 3 out of 10. Fergus breaks the rules. Diesel is good in this episode, and Ari and Bert were alright, and the smelter's yard was also good, but seriously, everything else about this episode is, Fergus, he didn't even break any rules. His character has already been ruined after, well, I quite liked him in Bill, Ben and Fergus. He did jack shit in Salty Stormy Tale, but here, he's just a whiny wimp, seriously. Isn't he meant to be an old engine? Why is he, like, hiding away? And Thomas just feels really forced in this episode, and the moral at the end is, 3 out of 10. Reneeas and the roller coaster. What did they do to Reneeas in this episode? Seriously. This is not the same Reneeas from Seasons 4 to 6. This is a completely different soul right here. Why didn't you stop when you passed the line closed? Oh, whatever. Reneeas would not... There's this one specific line from this episode that just pisses me off. It's, Reneeas sees the castle every day. He didn't think it was special or important. I find that bullshit. Oh yeah, the William Tell overture is in this episode, but unlike Busy Going Backwards and Thomas and the Jet Engine, it's not fun or exciting or intense. It's kind of just, This episode sucks, 3 out of 10. The grand opening. The fuck happens here? This is one of the most nothing episodes of the classic series. Scarloey is not handled good in this episode at all. He's impatient, which is not correct to Scarloey's character. The whole scene with the balloon is boring as fuck in my opinion. The Fat Controller is a bit of an idiot in this episode, and it's very boring. The engine's just sitting, just waiting. Scarloey being late. The crash wasn't even that entertaining. This is not a good episode. 4 out of 10. Harold and the Flying Horse. This really does blend in with the grand opening. I do get these episodes confused a lot, but the reason why this is slightly higher is because I don't think any of the characters are big idiots in this episode. It's just, nothing really happens. It's very boring. I can't really say anything about this episode. 4 out of 10. Peace and Quiet. Of the new Season 7 characters, Murdoch is definitely the one that has the least going for him. I mean, this is an alright episode, Murdoch having to deal with the sheep, but again, besides the scenes with the sheep, there's not really much going on with this episode. I mean, he's got a friendship with Harvey and Salty, 2 other new engines, but Murdoch isn't the most interesting character, and this isn't the most interesting episode either. 5 out of 10. Best Dressed Engine. This is an alright Gordon episode. Him getting covered with the banner was funny. But I think Trevor getting hit by another engine again is getting a bit repetitive. I mean, we already had this last season. And they didn't really play into the humour part of this episode. I mean, when you look, a lot of the episodes in Season 6 have great humour. Even the ones I don't like Thomas, Percy and the Squeak, have good humour, but they didn't really play into the humour of this episode that much, when they should have. This could have been a really good episode, but no, just let down by missed potential, I guess. 5 out of 10. Tobys Windmill. This is an alright Toby episode. He's determined to get the windmill saved, but the fact that Toby just crashes because he's distracted is what puts this episode really low. This would have been so much better if it was a Percy story like how it was originally going to be, but no, we had to change it to Toby to give him a spotlight episode. It could be worse, but it's just that one glaring issue of Toby getting distracted so easily. That's why I don't like this as much as I do. 5 out of 10. Trusty Rusty. The fact that Duncan is going back on his word and not liking Rusty again is, again, what puts this episode down near the middle of the ranking list. This could have been really great if... You know what should have happened? Rusty should have been the one in danger and Duncan could have saved him for a change. A nice swap of the dynamic there. But no, we have to resort to Duncan being a jerk again to Rusty. However, Rusty himself in this episode's pretty good and the bridge collapse was intense. 5 out of 10. The Spotless Record. Thomas, again, in this episode is really bad, but I think Arthur's a good new character, the Crash is good, and the Troublesome Trucks are always amazing to see in the classic series, and one of the only times in Season 7 they were used, unfortunately, which sucks, because they're some of the best characters ever. Unfortunately, Thomas being a dick is what drags the episode down, so 6 out of 10. Something Fishy, the other Arthur episode, and it's also good. I like Arthur being at the fishing village, having a connection with the fishing village. We all have that one place we just want to be. And Thomas is slightly better in this episode, which is why it's above, and the Crash is pretty good, and the Troublesome Trucks are good. But besides that, there's not much to say about this. Arthur's a nice character, I wish we saw more. 6 out of 10. Emily's new coaches. Like the previous 2 episodes, the biggest flaw of this is Thomas. Him whining about Annie and Clarabelle being with a different engine. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that it happens in the show, and I really do not like this part of episodes and movies. We see this happen again with Stanley. This was the first episode to do this stupid thing. Seeing Oliver again was nice after him being quite absent in Season 6, and Emily is a really good new character, at least in Season 7 anyways, but the scene where Thomas was about to crash into Oliver was really intense and cool, but yeah, it's an alright episode. 6 out of 10. 3 cheers for Thomas. The last classic series episode, and it's a pretty good one. Thomas racing Bertie was nice, one of the only episodes in Season 7 that I think Thomas was handled well in. Even though I do think people talk about it too much and obsess over it too much, I mean, it's not that impressive. And the music, it's alright, I guess. It's nothing that's spectacular. People say this was the best way to end the classic series. I mean, it's alright. I do like this episode, don't get me wrong. It's just people constantly talking about how it was the end of the classic series and loving it is kind of what puts it lower for me. It's still good though, 7 out of 10. Not So Hasty Puddings. On the other side of the coin, here's an episode that no one talks about. It's a really nice episode. It's a good follow-up to Elizabeth the Vintage Lorry from Season 6, which I foolishly forgot to talk about, but it's a good episode. But this is a nice follow-up to that. Thomas is good in this episode, Elizabeth's crash in the snow is good, and I think this has got some nice winter visuals. 7 out of 10. Bulgi rides again. I would have preferred it if they just left Bulgi in that field forever, but this is a nice sequel episode to Bulgi. It's nice to see Bulgi again, and he does have some funny lines in this episode. The hens are good, and he's got a happy ending in the end, which is really nice, but honestly, I think a Bulstrode episode would have been better in my opinion. I think he's a character that probably would have suited better for a redemption story than Bulgi, because I feel like Bulgi deserved it more. Bulgi was trying to steal the passengers from Duck and Oliver, while Bulstrode only made a couple of rude remarks, so it makes sense for Bulstrode to get a second chance instead of Bulgi, but it's still a good episode, 7 out of 10. Percy gets it right. Percy's only notable role in Season 7, and it's a pretty good one. Percy's determination is good in this episode. The landslide scene, while honestly my least favourite crash of the entire classic series, because it's so quiet and the angle is shit, Percy's determination to save Thomas is really nice. Their friendship is really good in this episode. And some nice morning visuals at the end of the episode. I like this one. 7 out of 10. The Refreshment Lady's Tea Shop. This is a perfect sequel to Peter Sam and the Refreshment Lady from Season 4. Peter Sam was handled quite well in Season 7, getting one of the best narrow gauge episodes. Him wanting to help out the Refreshment Lady is really sweet. The coach at the end is a nice prop. And I think Peter Sam is perfect in this episode. This is really nice. 7 out of 10. A Bad Day at Castle Lock. Definitely the spookiest episode of Season 7. It's great to see Dalton Douglas again. Even in the weaker episodes of the classic series, Donald and Douglas are always a treat to see. And this is probably the one time where I do not mind the really quiet sound effects, because I feel like when Harvey's approaching with the breakdown crane in the mist and you see just a dark figure, I feel like the lack of any sound effects and just it being quiet makes it even more ominous, which is the only time in season 7 where I'll say that. But you can obviously tell it's Harvey, but still, that visual of him coming, even though you can obviously tell him, it's just a shadow, man. That's really creepy in the night scene. Season 7 did really good with its nighttime scenes. 8 out of 10. Really good episode. Bill, Ben and Fergus. The only good Fergus appearance in Season 7. He's a good character only in this episode. Bill and Ben, always amazing to see in the classic series, except Season 3, because they didn't really get to do much except Heroes, which was alright, but One Good Turn was not that good. But the avalanche scene with Fergus getting crushed was really good, and gee, makes you wonder, was Fergus so badly damaged after the rock slide they just scrapped him? That's why he never appeared again? Damn, do not think about this episode too much. I'm just joking. Obviously they didn't scrap Fergus, but maybe that's why he was never seen again. Maybe he's still around, but he's just not in working order anymore because he was so damaged. Mavis is good in this episode, and even though the moral at the end is forced, it's still a nice episode. 8 out of 10. Snow Engine. Not too long ago, I wasn't really a big fan of this episode. I didn't really like it that much, but in recent months, I've warmed up to it. Just like Oliver warmed up to snow. But this is a nice Oliver and Toad episode. Oliver learning to appreciate snow. Again, the snow visuals in these Season 7 episodes are really good to see. The crash is funny. Not too much to say about it. I like it. 8 out of 10. Gordon and Spencer. This is the Season 7 episode everyone on the planet basically agrees that this is amazing, and for good reason. It introduces the best new character of the season, Spencer, and this is a really good Gordon episode. One of the best in the entire classic series, even in the show. Gordon is such a grown-up character here, long gone are the days where he'd complain from Season 1. Spencer's a really good foil to Gordon. I think James has some funny moments in this episode. And it's just a really good episode with Gordon. 9 out of 10. Hang on, I just need to put on my bulletproof vest for this one, because I feel like I'm gonna get shot at. The old bridge. People love to hate this episode. You're probably thinking, how dare you? How dare you put it above Gordon and Spencer? How dare you put it 4th place on your list? You are a fake fan. Well, I'm here to tell you that I do not judge episodes for one factor. I judge them for everything. If an episode only has one bad thing about it, then I don't judge it just for that. I look at everything in the episode. The same applies for Middle Engine. Percy getting blamed, yeah, I do not like that, but the rest of the episode is fine, and the same goes for the old bridge here. The only problem is that Scar Lowy is a bit scared to cross the bridge, but when you think about it, he did almost fall off that bridge. I think it's completely justified he'd be a bit scared. And when he hears Reneeas is in trouble, he immediately goes to help him, so he's still in character. And the music in both dubs of this episode I really, really like, especially the ending theme for both dubs. Both are amazing. I'm not a big fan of the sets in Season 7 for the Scar Lowy Railway, but I have to admit, the old bridge is definitely a really nice looking location. But people do hate on this too much. Scar Lowy is perfectly fine here, other than just being a bit too scared, but that's not a big problem. He did almost fall off that bridge, remember. I have a feeling some people in the comments are gonna be angry about this, but you will be respectfully ignored if you bash my opinions. This is a good episode, I don't care what anyone says. 9 out of 10. Edward's Brass Band. This is the only good Edward episode after Season 2. Because, while Edward had a couple episodes like Edward the Really Useful Engine or Edward, Trevor and the Really Useful Party, and they weren't really about Edward, they were about Gordon and Trevor, but they were alright. This is a genuinely great Edward episode, and probably the only good episode in the model series after Season 2 that's solely about Edward. Not much happens in here, but it's just a really nice story. You feel happy for Edward in the end, you feel sorry for him when he can't take the train, and Bertie getting stuck is funny. And I think the settings here are quite nice as well, especially the roads. It's underrated, I wish more people would talk about this. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. I love this episode. The Runaway Elephant, one of the funniest episodes in the season. This is a great Duncan episode, the runaway is intense and cool. I love the music in the UK dub. I think Duncan's theme when he's starting the journey and the runaway theme when he's out of control in the UK dub are really good. I mean, the US version of the Runaway theme, lots of people love it. I don't really like it because it sounds too much of a bouncy adventure when this is meant to be like a serious runaway where Duncan's sort of in danger, but whatever. Honestly, I think the US version of the Runaway theme for this episode would have worked a lot better if it was in Reneeas and the roller coaster, because that's more of a bouncy adventure than an actual serious runaway. The scene where they almost hit the tractor, Michelangelo's narration when Duncan screams, "I can't!" is funny. And the elephant spot in the lake being done by accident from Duncan is a really good ending. This is a really good episode, really great Duncan episode, 10 out of 10. James and the Queen of Sodor. This is the funniest episode of the season and my favourite. I think the dynamic between Gordon and James is really good. Percy has some funny moments at the beginning of the end. James being tricked is amazing. The whole scene of him pushing the Queen of Sodor to the smelters is a great scene. I think this episode is really good at subverting your expectations because you think James is going to get covered with sludge in that scene, but he doesn't, and you think he's gotten away with it. But at the end of the episode, Percy wishes sand on him, and he gets his karma, which is great. I forgot who said this, but it was a really good idea that they had, that Percy was hiding behind the sheds and snuck up on James on purpose just to get him dirty, to teach him a lesson, which I love that. Percy, he's such a little schemer. But yeah, this is a really good James episode. I think, yeah, the only James episode of Season 7. James is the one character in the classic series that they never got wrong. Even in his weaker episodes like James and the Red Balloon, he was still perfectly in character. They never got him wrong, and I think he was handled wonderfully in this episode and is the best of the season. 10 out of 10. So that was my ranking list of Season 7, and probably the last one, at least for a while. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Season 8 onwards. If I do another one, it'll probably be Jack in the Pack, but no promises. Since this is the last ranking video, I may as well rank the first 7 seasons, from worst to best. So, in 7th place is Season 7, 6th place is Season 1, 5th place, Season 6, 4th place, Season 3, 3rd place, Season 2, 2nd place, Season 5, and 1st place, my favourite season, is Season 4. So that was my ranking of the first 7 seasons. I hope you enjoyed these videos, and I will see you in the next video, whatever that's going to be. Alright, TP, I'm done. What'd you think of the list?
Okay, let's see this. Okay, this is decent, actually.
Really?
No, you're a dead YouTuber now.
No!